When today's guest, Dr. Ruby Lathon, was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, her doctor insisted she have her thyroid removed and take medication for the rest of her life. She refused, and instead she kept her thyroid and cured her cancer with a whole food plant-based diet and a major lifestyle overhaul. Find out exactly what she did in this remarkable story and check out her new cookbook, Stop Playing, Go Vegan. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe there as well. Thank you. Thank you for listening and for sharing this podcast with your friends. We are continuing to grow, and it's thanks to you. Please reach out to me on social media. I promise I'll answer you back. I just love hearing from you. And now, our guest, Dr. Ruby Lathon. Hi, friend. Are you looking to age healthfully, confidently, and vibrantly? Then this podcast is for you. Smart, slightly salty, irreverent, and thought-provoking. I'm Lauren Bernick, and this is Age Like a Badass Mother. Hi, friend. This is the next installment of your little bite-sized piece of learning how to eat a whole food plant-based diet without oil in order to reverse disease and to lose weight. So, let's be clear. If you're just trying to get a little healthier and, maybe lose a couple pounds, okay, just eating your legumes, your whole grains, your green leafy vegetables, fruits, so forth, you're going to do a lot better than whatever's going on right now if you're eating the standard American diet. But if you're really trying to reverse disease like I did, I reversed my heart disease by following a whole food plant-based diet without oil. You have to do it all the time. So I travel quite a bit, and that's one reason I keep it really tight. When I'm at home, I do not stray. When I travel, there are times when I have to have some oil. I still have a vegan meal. I don't stray from that. I don't want to. I never want to eat another animal again as long as I live. I don't want to eat anything that comes from an animal, but once in a while, I'll concede I have to eat some oil. Okay, but when I travel on a plane, I take my food with me because I never know, you could get stranded. You don't know what the day is going to bring. And like they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so I set myself up for success. When I'm traveling on a plane and I need a meal on the plane, don't forget, you just can't bring like a salad dressing in a container or even hummus. I've gotten confiscated. They've taken my hummus away at the airport. So if I'm going to make like a salad, which I generally don't, but if you do, mix your salad dressing into the salad and put it in a container, and you can bring that on. Put your hummus in a sandwich. If it's already like in something, then they don't take it away. But my go-to travel meal for the plane is I make some lentils and quinoa. That travels better than beans and rice. Trust me, I've done this a lot now. So I make some lentils and quinoa. I make a bunch of green leafy vegetables. I put like a pumpkin seed cilantro sauce onto the green leafy vegetables, mix it in. I usually have some bite-sized tofu cubes. You can go to my YouTube channel, Age Like a Badass Mother on YouTube, and I show you how to make tofu cubes. I show you how to saute without oil. I think I even have some travel videos on there. I'm not sure. But anyway, just be prepared. Have some food. You can bring a veggie burger, make a homemade veggie burger, or I think there's a new one I've talked about on my YouTube channel. I can't remember. I think it's called Actual Veggies. And so they have some ready-made veggie burgers. You could just put it in between 2 slices of Ezekiel bread with some lettuce and tomato and pickles and onion. I probably wouldn't put onion for the plane. Things get stinky in a tight squeeze. So I don't bring macaroni and cheese and broccoli on a plane. That's stinky. Just try to avoid stinky foods. So, but have something. I usually have 2 to 3 meals packed, just depending on what's going to happen. Usually a sandwich, like I said, a veggie burger. I have the lentils and quinoa and vegetables and all that, the tofu. I have fruit. I bring some like sugar snap peas, just, anything that I can munch on. You just don't know where the day is going to take you. So be prepared. When I get to my destination, I love Marriott hotels because they always have refrigerators in the room. And, if I'm checking a bag, I could have my plant milk in my bag and my cereal and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, most times, unless I'm going to be somewhere remote, I just wait till I get there and go to a store and get some plant milk and things like that. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. You can email me at lauren@agelikeabadassmother.com. You can go to my website, wellelephant.com. You can get my free cookbook and also find out information about my class, ACE Plant-Based Eating, if you're really ready to reverse disease like I did. Okay. Now let's get going with our guest today. Dr. Ruby Lathon is an engineer turned holistic nutritionist who dissolved her thyroid cancer tumor naturally in 14 months without surgery. Her story and work have been featured in the documentaries What the Health and They're Trying to Kill Us. Please welcome Dr. Ruby Lathon. Well, hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. You are so stunning. And I just asked you before we started, and then I said, stop, don't just save it for the podcast. Do you always wear red because Ruby,
Right.
and it's just your color?
I
You always,
it is my color. I discovered it was my color because every time I wore it, I get compliments like every time. And I was like, I think I should just always wear red then because it stands out. I get with orange too, but red is definitely my color. And I was like, well, my name is Ruby. Let's go with it. And it's
let's do it.
memorable. Someone saw me across the room and they were like, I had on red. And they were like, oh, I remember Ruby, you're red. And they were like, I got it. I was like, well, this works. This
You know
works
what?
for
It
me.
really does. It's your signature
Thank
color.
you.
Red and orange are also my colors, which is kind of odd. Like, doesn't seem like we'd have the same colors that we
Mhm.
look good in, but
Yeah.
for sure, like, I love those two colors and they do stand out. And then they also make you happy.
Right, they do. And there's a secondary reason as well. And we'll get into it, but it really kind of represents my transformation after healing from cancer because I didn't wear a lot of red before. I had a lot of more grays and blacks and browns, some white,
Oh.
but it was more muted tones. I had some color,
Hmm.
but it was not intentional. When I looked at my closet, I was like, there's a lot of gray, black, brown colors in here, and I need to live more out loud. So
Oh my
so
gosh,
it
that's really
definitely was a
beautiful.
shift, yeah.
So it was like a conscientious shift then. You were like, I'm just gonna, yeah.
Right, I just noticed there's a lot of facets to the healing journey, and the last piece was the emotional piece of healing, and for me, that represented speaking out, speaking up, standing out, and not being muted and hidden, so it the colors came along with that.
Well, I definitely want to kind of just pop into it because,
Mhm,
I know you have a PhD in engineering,
mhm.
and then what was the catalyst that brought you to being a holistic nutritionist? Was it your cancer diagnosis, or was it
It
before that?
was. No, that was it, and it wasn't really planned. It all happened organically after. I when I was diagnosed, that was back in 2007, and so I was figuring out how to, do things naturally. Um, and I shared with my network, I'm looking for a natural method, so everyone knew. And so when it was done, people wanted to know how. And so then I started teaching and talking and got a certification. And so that was the that was the pivot. It was after because I was working in defense and working for a great national laboratory, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't excited about the work. I was like, the best part of the work for me was being able to present the solution to the client and see that they're happy about it. But it wasn't the actual work. It was that I was helping them do their job made me feel good, but actually doing the work wasn't exciting to me. So I was wanting to do, something else, and this, I
Why
didn't
did you
know
get
what
into engineering then? Was that like
did.
pressure from your parents
No, you know
or
what? I got first into computer science because I was interested in like how does this work? How do computers work? I really wanted to know. And then I did some internships in programming, and I was like, I don't want to be in a basement coding and that kind of thing. So engineering, I kind of shifted from computer science to like industrial systems engineering, and I really did like that work. I have like a minor in artificial intelligence and statistics and all that. So that kind of work was interesting to me. I really like learning. So I think I could have stayed in school forever, but you know, at some point it comes to an end. Um, and while I was really grateful for the work, I don't know that it was just once I started, I was like, I don't want to do 9 to 5. How are people doing this forever? I can't do it. I feel like a caged
yes.
bird. I really did. And I felt bad that I wasn't grateful, as grateful as I was grateful, but I was like, I should be really grateful. I'm making a 6 figure job in this great, prestigious laboratory around really brilliant people. But I am not personally happy about doing this coding and simulation and reliability analysis and all of this is not my calling, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until I was in the job. So, but because I enjoyed every step of the way. Um,
Right.
and
But it was just the job,
yeah,
which is
right.
problematic. Well, I think a lot of people find themselves in that situation, which is, another part of like aging well that,
Mhm,
it always comes back to that, like, if you're in something that it's okay to pivot and it's
mhm,
okay to, make that change, even if you've invested in this, your education and
right.
spent years in it. But okay, well, okay, take me back to your diagnosis. Were you having like symptoms, or how did you come to find out you had thyroid cancer? And how old were you at the
Yeah,
time?
so I was 35 and I didn't have any symptoms other than that my doctor, just doing my routine annual checkup, felt like my thyroid was enlarged and that it was bumpier than before. We had done a few years before ultrasound because it felt a little bumpy, but there was nothing suspicious on it. So she was like, I think we should do another one because it feels bumpier. And that's how we found it. So I did the biopsy, then there were some suspicious nodules. Then, I mean, I did the ultrasound first. That showed some new nodules that weren't in the previous scan. And it looked a little suspicious. So then that's what led to the biopsy. And that's how he found it.
Okay, wait. So is there like like a breast exam? Is there like a self thyroid thing where you could feel if it's bumpy?
I
That
suppose, you could, but I feel like I think it's someone who's done it so many times, they know what it's supposed to feel like. Yeah.
so you just wait for the doctor to do
Yeah,
it.
I would say because you don't want to scare yourself, and generally nodules can be on your thyroid that are nothing. So that's why when they were there initially, it wasn't anything to be alarmed about because sometimes you just have a little lumpier thyroid. So, but it was looking at more activity and blood flow, then that raises the flag that something is happening.
And it doesn't have anything to do with like the numbers, like when you get your thyroid tested and they give you like the
No, yeah, it
TSH,
doesn't. They're totally
nothing with that.
separate. Yeah. Because I had totally
Okay.
normal numbers the whole time.
Okay. And so what what did your doctor say? What did you what was your reaction? What did you do?
Right.
All the
So,
questions.
right. So at this point, I was working with the endocrinologist, and he said, I just called me that after they got the results and said, here are the results. I was like, obviously very stunned because I was not expecting it. I had dismissed the idea altogether. And so then of course, the next question was, what's the procedure? What happens? What do we do? And then he said, it's surgery, and then you go on medication, and then, we come and adjust it, and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, so is that the only option? And do I have to be on a medication? Yes, because if you take out the thyroid, you have to replace the thyroid hormone. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. You have to take, a thyroid hormone after that. And I was like, that's when I was like, I need to think about this. And then I said, well, what about alternative treatments, natural treatments? And he was like, there, I've never seen that work or happen for anyone. So I was like, and actually, when he said that, I was like, well, I might be the first. I said that in my mind. I didn't say it out loud, but that's how automatic the thought process was about not doing the traditional route.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if you know anything about me, but that was actually my story too with
Hmm.
heart disease.
Hmm.
And the doctor was like, "Well, you just have to be on a statin for the rest of your life and you have to, eat healthy and fish and blah blah." And I
Right.
was like, I was like, you know what? The things he listed off that I should eat was what I was eating. I
Hmm.
was like, so that can't be right because otherwise I wouldn't have heart disease.
Right.
Disease, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And so it's funny that we both kind of had that same
Right.
impulse,
Like,
like, not me.
right. Exactly.
I'm going to find a way.
Exactly.
And so then what? So you said you kind of took it to your
Yeah.
platform or your
Yeah. So I just started researching like on the web, like what probably caused it, how to heal it. And
what causes that? Do you know?
so it's non-specific, but it can be. One of them is excessive X-rays, like excessive dental or head and neck X-rays can be one of the causes of that.
Did you
Um,
have that?
I had, I think, a few more dental X-rays that I needed to have. Um, and so in the more recent like years leading up to it, like within the last like 4 years before 4 to 5 years before I was diagnosed, because I had an overzealous dentist. I had great insurance. It's like, oh, let's check this and do that, and so I felt like I didn't realize the danger, because you're wearing the collar or the thing, you're thinking
Right.
everything's protected, but I feel like I had more than I needed to have. And then others can
And
just be radiation exposure.
mm.
Yeah.
But with back to the X-rays, like, so where do you land on that now with dental
I really
X-rays? How
don't
much
do
do you feel
them.
is
I do like I might do one every 5, 6 years. I just have really good oral health habits because I'm avoiding the x-rays. So
mm,
and my dentist attests to that. He's like, these are the cleanest teeth I've seen, and plaque free, because I use the water pick and electric toothbrush and all of the things and flossing. And so, when I do mouth rinsing, oil pulling occasionally. So I just take extra care because I'm just not going to be checking every year for that.
okay, that's good advice. Okay, so you looked into it and now what? Now what did you decide
Yeah,
to
so
do?
I decided to, switch to a plant-based diet. So I went to this like a lifestyle treatment facility in Alabama where they kind of teach you how to use food as medicine, kind of similar to a Hippocrates, but this place was like Uchee Pines. Um,
What how did you find out about that? Did you just
through
Google or
both some members of my church had gone there before, so I knew about it. I had never really looked into it, but I just knew there was a facility where people sometimes go for those kind of things. So I looked it up, and they had an opening in like 3 weeks, and so I went there. That was like 3 weeks after the diagnosis. So it was really a great like first rush of information on how to really use food as medicine. And so that was really um, my first intro into that, and it was a good introduction. So it was like you know 3 weeks there was just like a download of information and holistic remedies, and so I just kind of soaked all that in and came back and just implemented what I learned.
so you stayed there for 3 weeks. So it was
Yeah,
like an
about yeah.
immersion.
Hmm.
Can you share the name of the place? Is it still
Yeah,
around?
it is Uchee Pines.
Oh, good. And so you were able to come back and just implement everything, and did you feel better? Like, what changes started
I
happening?
I did feel better. I had lots of energy. I was just, but I wasn't sure I was doing everything. That was like, this is the start. But I did start with their implementing everything. And I was like, I was seeing people in that 3 weeks having good results in a short amount of time, like with mouth sores and things, shrinking while I was there. So I was like, okay, so mine is tiny. So it should be gone in 3 months. So I'm going to go back in 3 months to the doctor, have the ultrasound, and it should be gone. That was the plan. But it wasn't gone in that 3 months. So I was a bit discouraged. And then the doctor, the endocrinologist, took the opportunity to discourage me because I still didn't do the surgery because his thought was, yeah, go do your thing, come back in 3 months and we'll schedule. And then I still didn't schedule. And he was like, well, you're being irresponsible and blah, blah, blah. And just took a really long time to discourage me about what I was doing. So I felt bad. It's like, I think there's more to do. And I'm going to stick with it a little longer because I didn't feel like I had exhausted, everything.
Yeah. Before that, what was your diet like? Were you eating a lot of meat or was it really hard for you to change?
I was not eating much meat. I was primarily vegetarian, but high dairy vegetarian, a lot of
Mhm.
processed food as well. So, cheese was I replacement. So whenever I'm going out to eat, I'm having the cheese ravioli instead of like beef ravioli so there's a lot of dairy in the
Yeah.
diet, a lot of
That's how I
eggs and
was.
dairy and processed like packaged food. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that was, and I wasn't like a sugarholic or anything, but I, whenever, sweets, however I liked as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And so, then how long did it take till you found out you reversed it? Was it 14 months? Is that what you said?
it was. So I took that, another, couple of months, and I was like, there's probably more I need to do. I started working with my friend who was becoming a naturopathic doctor at the time. And then she started really talking about the emotional component of healing, and that yes, I was doing all the right things with the food and even exercise and rest, but what does the illness represent? And when you look in like Ayurvedic medicine, where you get sick is an indicator of what you might need to investigate to change and what it represents. And given that my thyroid is enlarged and wrapping around wraps around the vocal cord for everyone, but if it continues to get enlarged, it can it can diminish your vocal cord where you're speaking very hoarsely or not at all if it's not addressed. And I was like, so she was saying, what do you think that represents for you? And I was like, I know exactly what that means. It means I
Yeah.
need to learn
That
how to
one's
speak up. It was just like, okay, I got it. This is where I need to focus. I need to focus
Mhm.
on not doing things I don't want to do. I was the consummate yes person. Didn't want to make any waves or make anybody upset. I was the peacemaker at my own expense. So as long as everybody else was happy, then I was okay with it, even though maybe the solution wasn't working for me. Um, so I wasn't living my life on my terms. I was living it based on what I thought I should be doing. It's like, okay. And I was actually kind of fearful about the next steps because it was like, now that I got the degree, I was supposed to get married and have kids and do this. And I was like, I don't even know if I want any or all of that, but I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's like, you go to church and you find your husband and you do. And I was like, I'm not sure that's for me, but I was planning to do that because that's what I thought should be doing. So yeah, I was like, okay, I know God's going to send me the right one. And, my life was centered about that. Right. And so it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to just do what I think I'm supposed to do. I'm actually going to think about what I want to do and do that. And so that meant, speaking up. Like I had left the labs and was working in some colleagues from college. We had started an engineering firm together, but it was not equitable work. And I wasn't speaking up enough about it. I'm doing more of the work, the hard pieces of it, and not getting most of the money. So I'm like, that's not good. So I quit. I was like, I quit. That was something I would not have done without that. And then I just said, I'm dropping all of the organizations that I'm in that I just said yes to because I didn't know how to say no. because I'm a people pleaser. So even though they're for good causes, you need to follow your heart, right? So I was like, I'm dropping everything, and everything is no. So it was like I was like a 2-year-old that just learned how to say no. I'm like, no, don't ask me anything. The answer is no. You know,
Gosh, that's so good. And the thing is that you learn that at 35 or 36 instead of like 55 or 56,
Mhm.
because it usually, it takes longer to learn. Eventually we get there, but you had like a nice little jump start on it. I like
Right,
that.
right. Yeah, so I just started speaking out. I was like, that's what I'm supposed to do. And then I chose some volunteer things that I really liked to do, since I had time, since I quit. And
What
uh,
did you choose?
so I chose this it was a center for people recovering from drugs and alcohol, and the concept was it was a place called Endorphin Power Company, started by a physician, and the idea was to use exercise to replace the endorphins, things that you get from drugs and alcohol, to really hone in on that. So there was a gym there and things like that, and they needed to renovate the place. So we had this contest where everyone would take a room and have a team and renovate like from scratch. And so that's what I did. And that was really fulfilling for me. And just seeing people helped in a more authentic way and not just a patch of a fix to a problem, but a real lasting, like innovative solution. And so that's where I spent my time and just, had, just tried things I wouldn't have normally done, rock climbing and things that I would not have just done before. But I started saying yes to what I wanted to do, and what maybe seemed fearful, I'm saying yes to that and no to, responsibilities that I feel like I should just follow.
Oh, that's so smart. What and I guess so you had left your job, and what were you doing at this point for
Yeah,
work?
so because then they, saw my value and was like, well, don't quit, just take a leave of absence and we'll just pay you while you're gone and then come back when you're, have dealt with this issue. And I was like, great. I wasn't even, I hadn't even thought of that option. I just knew I was going to quit, and I was like, the chips fall where they may, I'm going to figure it out. So during, the recovery, I was thinking about, do I want to go back? I was like, I don't think I want to go back. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to have to figure out, what my next step is. So that's while I was, doing that, I was just, studying and focusing on healing. And I would say about halfway into it, the 6 month mark was kind of the pivotal change when I stopped focusing on, well, how did I get it? And started focusing more on just allowing the plan to happen. And then I got a new doctor who wasn't critical of what I was doing, but just agreed to monitor and not give this, negativity that was like almost bringing me to tears, because it's like, it's they hold a lot of influence. So someone like that really being negative was like not what I needed to hear, because I'm like, look, I want to live more than you want me to live. So I am not in any way being irresponsible, you know?
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
a really good point. Yeah.
right.
Okay, that's good. Was your doctor a plant-based doctor or just a supportive? No.
Just supportive. Because the initial endocrinologist like wrote letters to my primary care saying she's not following the protocol. You need to talk to her. And I
Oh,
thought that was so funny. I was like, what is she, my mother? I'm not going to just do it
yeah.
because. So that was the kind of pressure. And I felt that was odd. But that's why I just got a new endocrinologist and was like, here's what I'm doing. Can you just monitor? And he
Yeah.
agreed. And that's how he went with that. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to go back on my schedule when I feel healed and not when they're saying to come back, And that way it took the pressure down. And then, I started meditating and visualizing my healing. I took after 6 months, I took a break to Mexico. A friend had a condo there, and I stayed there for like 3 weeks. And the third week, I was by myself and I was on the beach. I learned how to drive a stick shift then too. That was fun. Because that's all they rented there. I was like,
Yeah. Oh my
so
gosh. That's
So
so
it's like my sister was there the week before. She's like teaching me how to drive it. I was like, I think I got it, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember driving a stick shift when I was younger. I don't even ever see those anymore, but I
Right,
guess
right. So
that's
when
awesome.
I was sitting there in my bliss because I'm on the beach by myself, it's the most beautiful white sandy beach. Nobody else is there because it's off season for that town. There's one butler guy who's bringing me whatever I want, fully
Dang.
waiting on me because there's no one else there. And I'm having guacamole and looking at the beach. And then I got this download of like information about how I should revise my nutrition plan, that I was doing too much. I was stressing myself out because I was stressed, and how I needed to look at the healing, that I didn't need to take, 20 supplements. I needed to look at it as a system. As we're fighting cancer with some things, we're reducing inflammation with some things, and we're supporting the immune system. And some of those things overlap. So you don't have to take every single thing. And so when I broke it down into that systems approach, that made sense to me as an engineer. And I was like, okay, so we're going to just take a few things in each of the most powerful in each of these categories and let the rest go. And then I was like, and now I feel like I have a real plan. I've been studying this for 6 months. I need to trust my knowledge at this point. I've talked to like at least almost, probably more than half a dozen doctors and chiropractors and naturopaths, everything. I've gotten all the information. So trust yourself enough to now follow through. And that was the shift. And that's when I started reading some other books like Love, Medicine, and Miracles by Bernie Siegel, and um, A Spontaneous Healing by Andrew Weil.
Mm.
And that's when I really honed in on that emotional piece and learning to visualize my healing. And that's when I was like, okay, I really do trust the process now, because a lot of times you say, if you have faith, I was like, if you have faith, you're not living in fear. And I was living in fear that first 6 months of, I hope it works.
Well,
It's
yeah,
got
that
to
doctor
work.
was scaring you.
Yes, very much so. So I was like, I am literally going to trust the process, because you say you are, but if you're trusting it, then you're not being fearful about it. You're just doing it and let it happen. And so that was the big shift for me. There was like, and when I started seeing myself healed in my mind, I was like, then I am healed. And I'm no longer claiming I have cancer. I'm not even going to say that anymore. And
Right.
that was
That's a
a big
good
shift.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot about, manifesting. Like people are always like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
manifesting. But when you're manifesting, I've been reading about it and so forth. But when you're always manifesting, you're always asking, and then you're not really ready to receive. You're not in like receiving mode. It feels like you
Right.
flipped your switch and got into receiving mode of healing. It's the same kind of
Exactly.
thing. You kind of just just trusted the process and finally let go and really believed it. Like I think for a while when you start something like that, you have to talk yourself into it, and your
Mhm.
mind is spinning and you are scared and you're trying to save your life and you're like, am I doing the wrong thing? Am I crazy? I'm just telling the doctor I'm going to do this my own. And at some point you, I guess, on that trip, really did shift and began to trust yourself. And I guess that's just how you do things, isn't it? I mean, I
Mhm.
guess you kind of just have to start and even just fake believe it. Like they say, fake
Right.
it till you make it, or right?
I
Is that
think
right?
some of that is true, and it's like, I just was thinking about it, what really faith is, right? And it's believing without the evidence,
Right.
and that's what manifesting is, but it's
Yes.
also it's the same thing, but it's getting on the other side of it. And that's why I said, when I stopped looking at the probable cause and felt that probably have covered those bases. And I did radiation detox protocols like bentonite clay baths and things like that. I felt like we've handled it. You can let that go. Now we're moving to solutions only, and no
Right.
blame or worry about getting it again. And we're just moving into healing. And so I just kind of embodied that I'm healed. So that's why even saying it wasn't like I didn't have this immediate revelation, I'm going to stop saying it. It's like when I heard myself say it, it felt wrong because I healed myself in my mind. I was like, oh, I don't have that. So I'm not going to say it. I just healed myself. And I've been doing it every day, the 20, minutes meditating and then, visualizing. So it felt wrong. So I was like, okay, so a lot of that just came about, through the process.
Can I ask you like what you were eating on this journey? Like what was your plant-based diet like?
So my day kind of started with supplements that needed to be taken on an empty stomach, like Vitalzyme was one of those to help reduce inflammation. Like that was like a proteolytic or systemic enzyme. And then I would start with wheatgrass and ginger and a little carrot juice to chase the wheatgrass. Um, and then I think I started with some tea. So it was probably like late morning before I actually ate anything. And I would start with garlic. So part of my protocol was eat like 8 cloves of garlic a day.
Oof.
And some
Just
of it,
raw?
I would steam some of it and like half and half. So I would mix it with some like flaxseed oil and have it on like Ezekiel bread. So it didn't
Okay.
actually taste that bad. And I just got used to garlic
Okay, that sounds
from there.
good.
Yeah, yeah, a little sea salt.
Garlic toast?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then from there, it was like it's like a big salad with beans and veggies and that kind of thing in there. Um, and for a while I wasn't doing any soy, so it was mostly like beans and things like that. And then I think I started adding soy back like much later. um, and then brown rice and broccoli and just very clean eating, greens and kale and those kind of the things that I was mostly eating. Just really
Hmm.
a fridge full of like fresh food. um, was there, as opposed to before it was like a freezer full of you know dinners and things you would just like
Right.
microwave. And that's another thing, I stopped using the microwave too when I had gone to
Yep.
UG Pines, because how it can destroy the food. So yeah, so it was really basic clean eating, just following you know the protocol. So a lot of hemp seeds and flax seeds and things like that.
Okay. And so then what happened? Did anything else happen before you
Yeah,
kind of got
so
your
after a few months of that, then I did go back to check, and what was noticed was that my thyroid had shrunk to its normal size, so it was no longer
wow.
considered goiter or enlarged, and the doctor didn't
How
notice it.
long how long had this been from the diagnosis?
So from the this was like about 9 months
9
in.
months. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So when I noticed it, I was like, wait a minute, I had to like get back in touch with them, because I was like, isn't this, significant? This is what it's supposed to be? And it was almost twice the size before, from like 7 point something now to 4 point something. And he was like, yeah, it's, I've never seen that happen before. So I was like, so I knew it was working. I was like, yes, it's working. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep it going. Even though the little tumor was still there, I was like, I can at least, the thyroid has responded, and I'm going to keep going. And so it was about a year in, because I had decided I was going to give it at least a year. And if it didn't work, I might reconsider surgery. And so it was a year at this point, December. And so I said, we did the scan, ultrasound, it was still there. And I was like, I can't believe it's still there. I was like stunned. And then I was like, let's do another biopsy, because I just feel like it's gone. I was like, there's no way it's still there, because I have seen it happen so many times in my mind. And so he agreed to do a biopsy, and every little nodule. So it was like almost somewhere between 12 and 20 biopsies that he took. And because he wanted to cover all the bases. And went back a week later to get the results, and it was like the saddest good news I've ever gotten, because each nodule had its own result and piece of paper, and he looked very somber, and I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be bad news. So he's going through each one one at a time and showing that, what the results are. There's nothing here. And there's like one more piece of paper and he's still looking sad. And I was like, oh, this must be it. And then he shows it. There's no cancer. There's no cancer anywhere. And I was like,
What?
it was so confusing. I was like, so he was like, yeah, I literally need to change your chart because you're no longer a cancer patient. It's,
Oh
it's
my
gone. And I
God.
was like, oh my God, thank God. I was so happy.
I-
And so he's like, well, but I still think you should have the surgery just in case it comes back.
Oh my
And
God.
I
That's
was
so typical.
I was like, no, thank you. I will never see you again. So I got out of there. I was so excited. I had a big party that weekend, a wellness party, because that was also part of my visualization. So, because when fear started creeping back in, I would do a meditation and a visualization, and that helped get rid of it. So, and so I was visualizing, planning for a wellness party. Like, okay, if we're believing this is going to happen, what are you going to do when it does happen? Oh, I'm going to have a big party. And so this was like Wednesday. I had a big party, like Saturday night, healthy vegan food, invited all my friends who knew, what was going on. And it was a great time.
Oh, I bet. Did you ever contact that first doctor and say, hey, by the way?
No, I did not. He freaked me out, really. I was like, I feel like I just didn't like the energy. I felt like
Yeah, no
something
kidding.
or something. I didn't. So no, I did not go
Yeah.
back.
Well, that's amazing. Have you ever had any other like tests, or you don't need it because they don't feel it, or what?
Right. I've
No.
gone back a few times, but I stopped just like checking now at this point. I was
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah. It's
continue with
been,
a healthy lifestyle. I wasn't as stringent as during the year of recovery, but I do cleanses and I eat healthy and I don't drink and I don't smoke or anything unhealthy. My body products are clean. Everything I do is about holistic, healthy living. So I'm not going to keep living in fear, looking for something that's not there at this point.
yeah. I agree with that. I mean, you can only do so much, and then the rest
Right.
is like you're just messing with your mind,
Right.
because you
Because
are
that
just
just
keeping
causes
yourself stuck.
right anxiety going back every time. I'm like, I'm good. I do my labs and I do, there are other markers of inflammation and things like that that if I want to do, I can do that. But I don't live in fear anymore about that.
Hmm. So what? Okay, so can I ask how old you are?
Right. I actually had to think about it because I literally have stopped counting. When I hit 50, I was like, if people wouldn't ask me, I wouldn't know how old I was. So I think
Okay,
it's
that's
50,
good.
I think it's 54. I think somewhere between 53 and 54.
Somewhere between 53 and 54. Okay. Well, that is I kind of love that. So if you didn't know how old you were, how old would you think you were?
I feel, I feel like it's a mindset, really. Age is a mindset. And
Mhm.
um, I would say I feel more like 38, 40.
That's my age, 38. That's how old I'm 57, but I always say I feel 38.
Right, right. I was like, I didn't like mentally age after 38.
Right.
I'm in the know. I'm vibrant. I love life. I'm still the rebel at heart. I'm just wiser.
Yes, exactly. I love it. That's and so well, you just named a bunch of stuff that you do to take care of yourself. Do you still you meditate every day, or
Not every day, but I'm working to get back to that.
Mhm.
So because then busyness gets in the way, and I'm like, okay, I need to go back to my
I know.
meditation and my visualization and for other things that I want in my life. So, but yeah, I like to get outside every day and touch nature, touch the trees. So I'm sure people have looked at me weird because I'm leaning on trees, but it's grounding. I believe in grounding because I live in DC, so there's not a lot of ground to put your feet on where a dog hasn't pooped. So I just use the
Yes,
trees.
I agree with that. DC is a great city. I love DC. I used to have to go
Yes,
there a lot for my job that I left, before I started this. And I love that city. It's a great city. But yeah, there's a
it
lot of
is.
just like every big city. Every big city is filled with everybody's
Yeah.
being,
So so
all the great cities. But
I
yeah,
get by the
hug a
trees.
tree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's part of what I do. And like I said, I just keep a very, organic food, clean lifestyle, minimize processed sugar. If I'm having sweets, it's usually something I made myself where that's sweetened with like maple syrup or stevia or something like that. So just being very cognizant of everything that's coming in contact with our skin and
Hmm.
internally.
Yeah, your skin, especially. I know. I'm sure people know that, but like your skin is a delivery system. So every product you put on your skin gets into your body.
Right.
And yeah, and what do you have favorite health or beauty product?
Yeah, for a lot of moisturizers, I just use like shea butter and coconut oil.
Hmm.
And then sometimes I'll use like Alafia as a brand, if I'm saying that
Yeah,
right,
I've
is
used that
very
before.
clean. Yeah.
Hmm.
Bronzers occasionally, but it can be a little drying, so I don't use it all the time. But the ingredients are Dr. Bronner's products are very clean.
Right.
Um, I use organic makeup, like Zuzu, I think it is, and that kind of thing. So I don't have like multiple 10-step skincare routine. It's just basic, um, and with clean products.
Well, you're doing something right.
Sure.
Your skin is gorgeous. Yeah. Do you
Thank
put the shea
you.
butter coconut on your face?
I don't put that on my face because it can be
What do you
clogging to your
Yeah.
pores. So I use a vitamin C serum, face lotion moisturizer. So yeah, it's like got resveratrol or something like that in it. So that's the moisturizer that I
Well,
use.
it's doing wonders. So, what do you have a best piece of advice for aging well?
I think it's keeping your stress low, is one thing. Obviously drinking, alcohol can age you as well, and it's a risk factor for cancer, so that's why I don't do that. Um, so staying stress free or as low stress as possible, having fun. I like to laugh a lot, not taking things so seriously. Like one of my brother, I have twin brothers. One of them is like he loves to laugh. So we're together. We're always just cracking up at any and everything. So yeah, laughter is good. I watch comedies, and I don't watch anything that's really scary or anxiety inducing. I just kind of live a happy life, and have, good friends and support around you.
Yeah. We're lucky. I mean, I that sounds again very much in step with my life. I realize that I'm very fortunate to be able to do that.
Hmm.
And, I feel like I'm very fortunate that I can live a life that's not just filled with stress, that I'm
Hmm.
not having to worry about, how do I work my 3 jobs and blah
Right.
blah, things like that. But I agree. I mean, this morning I was like, I think I just want to read for a little bit. Like, I know that seems crazy to get up in the morning and,
Hmm.
after I've worked out, but I just want to sit on the couch and read. And I think I'm just going to read. And I did
Right.
for like, I set a timer and I was like, this is very indulgent, but it's lovely.
It's
And I'm very
good.
grateful
Yeah,
that I can. I'm very grateful that,
absolutely. I think
yeah,
that doing what brings you joy is really important. Of course, and I drink a lot of water too. So staying
yeah,
hydrated, I think, is also key. Yeah, yesterday on my walk, there's a big swing. So I just sat there and like did some swinging. I was like, I haven't done
that's
that in a
beautiful.
while, and it feels really good. Yeah, indulgent, but that's what they're here for. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. And what do you have a best piece of advice, not age related? Just like maybe somebody gave you a great piece of advice once.
Um, that's a good question. Really, I know it might sound a little cliche, but finding your true joy is really the reason we're here. I was like, when I was younger, and I was thinking about, college and things. I was like, what is the purpose of life? I was like, because what I'm being told doesn't sound like it. It sounds like I'm just repeating life, marriage, kids, and rinse and repeat. I was like, but what's the purpose? What is the purpose? And for me, it is about experiencing life to the fullest. And it's not about, this rat race that we're in of, trying to survive, but it's finding joy even wherever you are, because the happiest people do tend to live longer, because that kind of joy makes your body more alkaline. And when you have a more alkaline body, you get less diseases, and you probably look younger too.
I call eating plant-based like the fountain of youth. I think that it really does everything for you, from the inside out, which is what you and I have obviously, bought into. Like, okay, I'm not going to just take medicine and have surgeries and all these things. I'm going to do this from the inside out. And I think that, eating a whole food plant based diet is really what it is, including the fountain of youth. That's why we're both 38. So,
Right. Exactly.
um, and then, what is there something that you learned from watching your parents age? Or I didn't ask you about your parents. Are they alive or what's this?
Yeah. Well, my father passed about 3 years ago, but he was like
Mm.
93. Um, he was youthful up until his death. He had been vegetarian since, I don't know, probably 30s or so. So he had been vegetarian most of his life. Um, but if you talked to him on the phone, he sounded like a 40-year-old. He didn't have that old voice, or he never slowed down. And he still played a saxophone. And so I saw that, aging can be good until it's time. So and my mom is still here, and she looks great and living her life. She loves to travel. So she's all over the place, and looking great. And so I learned that you don't have to go down in a sad way, in an unhealthy way. And because a lot of people, well, you don't have kids, who's going to take care of you when you're old? And I'm like, me. I was
Nobody's going to have to.
wasn't planning on needing somebody to wait on me. Not only that, I don't want to put anybody in a position to have to give up part of their life to help me to the bathroom. I'm like, that's not
Yeah,
living. I don't want
that's
to
not a.
live that way. So
Mm-mm,
I'm going to take care of me. And I always said I'll probably pass away at 99 in my sleep when I'm ready. And that's,
that's
that's
right.
the goal. So yeah, seeing as a definitely example of that you can age well, and live well and not have to be dependent, was a big example.
That's beautiful. That's so nice. I can't believe your dad played the saxophone until that late in life, like to have that kind of lung capacity. That's
Right,
beautiful.
right. He had stopped playing, and then somewhere around his, I don't know, 60th something birthday, he's always talking about it. I actually bought him a saxophone and was like, okay. And it was Christmas Day, and he opens it up, and we're like, and he just starts playing. We had never heard him play, like just like that. It all came back, and then he just started playing again, at churches and things and all that. So yeah, yeah,
That's fantastic.
it was good. So yeah, he was a good example of just being happy. Having a positive outlook really does change, your body chemistry and just how life responds to you.
Exactly. I think that's some good advice. And then what is your favorite concert you've ever been to?
um,
I like to ask everybody this because I just love concert. I love going to concerts.
right,
And so I
right.
just always want to
Um,
know.
yeah, it's my favorite would have to be, it's a very long time ago, was Sade at
Uh-huh.
it was an open anthem like arena, so it was outside, and her voice just it was just so beautiful, to hear her voice out. I would have to say that's my favorite. There's been a lot
Oh
of good
yeah.
ones, but the sound quality of her voice outside with the acoustics was like amazing. So,
She sang Sweetest Taboo. Was that her big
right.
hit or whatever? Yeah.
Yes.
God, I loved
Yes.
her. Yeah,
Yeah.
she has a beautiful voice. That's a
Yeah.
good one. I
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
one.
There's a lot
Um,
of good ones, but that was great.
that's a good favorite one, and I love the outdoor amphitheaters too, they're so
Mm.
nice. It's always like a beautiful night to look up and hear your favorite songs.
Mhm.
Ugh, it's so
Yeah.
good.
I'd love to share my new cookbook. I have one, my
Please.
copy here. It's,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, Stop Playing, Go Vegan. It's,
It's beautiful.
getting
Stop
serious
playing,
with
go
healthy
vegan.
recipes to prevent and reverse disease. So this is just out, just a few months now. So I'm really excited about that. Folks can get that on my website. So it's been many years of recipes, tried and true. And it's got a lot of focus on a lot of different things like immune boosting recipes, thyroid nourishing recipes, um, things for where do you get your proteins, one of those common questions. So there's that chapter as well, and many others. So it's very informative and educational recipe book as well.
What are some of your favorite recipes out of there?
um
Does it have the garlic toast recipe in there?
no, that's actually not in there. I would probably say, oh, the ricotta lasagna. So I do a cashew ricotta with a red
Mm.
pepper like lasagna. That has to be like one of the favorites. It's really good. Yeah. So
Oh, that
um,
sounds delicious. I'll
yeah.
put that in the show notes. It's a beautiful cookbook. I'm glad that you brought that up. Thank you for
Mhm.
reminding me.
Sure.
So what's it called? Stop
Stop
playing, go
playing, go
vegan.
vegan.
Go
Yeah.
vegan. I mean, that says it all, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
It's like let's get
well,
serious with our health. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Well, thank you again. I really have enjoyed talking to you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the work that you're doing well as well. So.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye. Thanks for listening, friend. From my heart to yours, be well until we meet again.